let's move on to David in Arkansas. David, you're live with Eric and Jamie.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. First, I want to be upfront. I am a theist.
Cool.
I'm still on my journey of search, so I'm not a strong theist, or I should say I'm open to the idea that there's not a God.
Okay.
But what I really, something that kind of concerns me a little bit is I do agree with you that religion can be very, very harmful. I've seen it. I've got gay friends who have been shunned and sent into de-gay conversion therapy, etc., by their churches. That said, I feel like you all are not all atheists, but I feel like your specific program oftentimes tries to fight fire with fire. And as you will rightly say, if a person makes a claim, it's up to them to prove that claim. Again, I agree with that. But I was like in your chat room on YouTube, and I saw people making claims that there is no God. Anybody that believes in God is stupid. And I've tried to get them to prove their claim, and they don't want to do it. And I feel like there's sort of, I don't want to be rude, but some hypocrisy.
David, that is a really, really good point. And it's not something that we've addressed. And it's something that I've honestly forgot to bring up, but I love that you're giving me the opportunity to bring it up, right? And
I'm not trying to be disrespectful.
No, man, you're doing great. Don't worry.
Yeah.
One thing that I've seen a lot of, and we on the show say, respect the person, ideas don't deserve respect, right?
Ideas earn respect,
right.
humans are born.
That having a certain tool set or believing, that you get to truth through a certain methodology, that can be everything that you've been taught up until that point in your life, right? And so when somebody says, oh, that person's stupid, or oh, that person has to be, mentally handicapped or something like that, it's wrong. It's wrong.
Right.
And it's not okay. I mean, I get that it can be cathartic to see this kind of thing and to, feel like you're taking it down. And I know that there are a lot of people who are just angry and that are out and that are, wanting community and wanting to feel like there are other people that are there. But you can still do that without denigrating a person's humanity. And I think that the YouTube live chat is probably not the best place to have that level of conversation.
Right.
It's
not generally the best.
Yeah.
The brightest place to have conversation.
Well, actually, I've seen some really bright people in the chat who bring up points and who have called me out on being wrong, and I've been like, "Oh my gosh, you're absolutely yeah." So I mean, I don't want to go down that rabbit trail, but what I do want to say is Stephen, the person who called earlier. Stephen, his call was in the Talk Heathen subreddit. And somebody said, oh, about this call, what Jamie and Eric didn't bring up is X, Y, and Z. And man, I wish that it would have gone that way. And so I reached out to Stephen and I said, hey, oh my gosh, people are talking about your call. You need to hop in there. And so they hopped into the subreddit and had a great conversation. And so if you wanted to check that out and if anybody else wants to hop in, the conversations in there, right? Reddit.com/r/talkheathen is one of those platforms that we have and try to make available so people can have those discussions. On Facebook, I've seen it, but I've also seen on Facebook that there are a lot of people who reach out for the first time on Facebook and say, I'm an atheist, and it's a very raw, very scary thing. And feeling like you don't belong is a place that I've seen Facebook really, really shine. And so I've seen really good conversations on Facebook. I've seen some people test out bad ideas. I'll give you an example, right? My immediate thought is the Westboro Baptist Church, right? When the members, what was it, Nathan Phelps and Megan Phelps Roper?
And Megan Phelps Roper left because she ran the social media.
Right. Yeah. And so I can imagine what their language was, contained when they first left the church, and it wasn't pretty. right?
Right.
And so when somebody hops into the Facebook group and uses that language, they might not realize that that can be something that we mod for. And so they'll get modded and go, oh my gosh, I'm just trying to interact. And so, we find and we're trying to provide these different places for people to have different kinds of conversations. And it takes some time. But you know what? I appreciate you bringing it up because it is something that bothers me. We have a better community. For those of you who are watching and are in the live chat, I adore seeing and interacting with you. And I adore going back afterward and I read the comments, and you're better than that. And I think that I can speak on behalf of Jamie and myself when we say that we can raise the level of discourse by not having to resort to pejoratives of demeaning someone's intelligence.
Yeah. So,
and I'm at fault for doing it out of defense myself at times too. So,
well, that just means you're human.
Part of being human.
Yeah. So, David, one of the things that you brought up at the beginning of this call that I want to address is that you pointed out that religion can be harmful, and you gave the example of people being shunned because they're gay, and I think you gave a couple other examples. And then you went on to talk about how you felt like our program sometimes fights fire with fire. Just to be clear, you can say that from time to time, particularly on the Atheist Experience, there's a little bit more, there's a stronger expression of ideas of disagreement and dissent and disapproval expressed often. This is the most diplomatic way I will say. Sometimes they shout people down. But we do our best to do less of that here, but even with that, we have never shunned someone because they're gay or hated someone because of the way they were born, or turned someone away from this building that didn't, I can't say we've never turned someone away from this building because there was someone that we had to ask to leave at one point, but for very good, actionable, we need you to leave or we're going to call the police because what you're doing here is illegal. That's it. So I am not taking personal offense because I'm sure it was just a turn of phrase, but there is a huge difference between what we do and what... Well,
again, and this comes from the comments section, I watched the episode where y'all were ripping up Bibles, and I think that's...
very incendiary.
Ripping up any book, I understand it was to make a point, but I thought it was just disrespectful anyway.
Why?
And
we might disagree in our response.
Yeah, because...
That's true. Well,
because specifically...
The thing bothered me...
Yeah, please, I'm sorry. I'm talking over you, and that's very rude. Go ahead, man.
I'm sorry.
No, that's me.
I read someone's comment in the chat that said that you could crap in a book and it would have more truth than the Bible. And... I don't understand the need for that kind of, I don't want to say hatred, but vitriol.
I read that comment, and the funny thing is we can open up any book and find things that can map to reality. We can find food in Harry Potter that is real. Okay. Right, we can find, but that doesn't mean that everything in that book maps to reality. I think I think that the tragedy of that, and I'm being generous because I don't necessarily know this person, but I think the tragedy of the Bible is that people say that it's true when it's not. Yeah. And if you're recognizing a fictitious book as being fictitious, then you don't necessarily need to follow these demands that can be incredibly destructive. And in that way, I would say that the Bible is more wrong because it holds itself to a standard that other fictitious books don't. It says it's true. And so kind of in that way, I can see that. But then again, I could be being, overly generous in my the way I'm saying it. But I think at the core of it, David, what I'm worried about is when you say it's disrespectful, because I don't give a fuck about respect. Like, I don't respect ideas necessarily, right? If it's a good idea, it will stand without somebody saying, how dare you, talk about it in a way that I find offensive. Because in reality, good ideas stand up because they're good ideas, not because somebody holds it up with reverence. And that was the entire point well, that is one of the entire points of why ripping up a Bible would be a statement that I would support. Yeah. Not because I would, be trying to remove them from circulation so people can't read them. It's not because I'm trying to, emulate some kind of dictatorship. I don't have that authority. And if I did, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
It's yours and you can do with it what you want.
Yeah.
I'm not saying don't destroy personal property.
But disrespect itself. Yeah. Why disrespect? And is respect something that's so important that it would prevent you from making a statement? And why?
Well, I think, I'm, like I said, more in the middle because I lived in Arkansas, where I live now, and it's the Bible Belt, but I've also lived outside of Washington, D.C. Actually, I was in high school on 9/11. I was student government secretary of my school, and we had students from over 80 different countries speaking 40 different languages. Lots of different cultures. And so I learned to respect all sorts of different beliefs. And that's what's kind of put me in the middle of things. And I guess I think it would be more productive to focus on what we have in common than our differences.
When you're talking about you and us, I agree, because we're very, very close to the same place. So one of the things that one of the many places that I'd like to respond to, one of the things you said is you had students from 80 different countries speaking 40 different languages, and you learned to respect their beliefs. I'm not sure that I would describe what you're describing in the same way. I think that I would say that you learn to respect people with different beliefs.
That's true. Yeah,
all right.
That's a good way to put it.
I have literally been in weddings where people were talking about the place of women in society and how they interacted. I went to a wedding where the married couple on their wedding day was given the sincere advice, no, God first, family second. And I participated in that wedding. I respect people even when I think their ideas are not helpful to humanity, and I will have a discussion with them at any point in time that they are comfortable having a discussion with me. And that's one of the things that's interesting about this show is while we publish it, we don't put it in pamphlet form and stick it, inside someone's home. We also don't go door to door, home to home, trying to push it out there. However, we have ideas. Those ideas are that the various things that are written in this book, in these sort of copies, I'm not sure whether you're watching, but there's a stack of 6 different kinds of Bible on my disc.
Right.
7 if you can. Well, these 2 are Gideon, but this one is side by side, so I don't know how you count. But how many Bibles are there? 1 Bible.
Okay.
But what I will say is that the ideas that are contained in here are harmful to humanity, and I am not going to apologize for coming to that conclusion. If I were to throw a Bible at someone, I would need to apologize for that. If I were to steal someone's private property and destroy it, I would need to apologize for that. But one of the things I can say about respect and ideas is if there was only 1 copy of the Bible left in the entire world and it was in my possession and no one knew it existed, I wouldn't destroy it.
No, I wouldn't.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
Because large aspects of culture and history have been influenced by this book.
Not only
what year is it?
Not only that, man, but we're not in the business of destroying and hiding ideas.
Yeah.
The truth will out.
Yeah.
The more that we talk about this, the more other people can realize that this crap can be put aside.
And while tearing up one of the many millions of physical copies of the Bible, and one of the many copies of the Bible that we had, 2 actually, of the many copies of the Bible we had in the library, is a very, we'll say, incendiary way of expressing our ideas, someone else taking offense at my words is not sufficient reason for me to hold my tongue.
Right.
The ideas contained in these books are bad. Aspects of it's interesting because when people talk about, oh, they're a fundamentalist in their religion, i.e. a person that follows the fundamentals of their religion, those are the ones that are most problematic because they're relating directly to the text. And so I'm not going to apologize for saying this book is fucking terrible and has hurt humanity for thousands and thousands of years. And this is just the New Testament that I'm holding, I think.
Jamie, I'm sorry to interrupt, but Stefan just donated $100 in the live chat.
Thank you, Stefan.
Thank you.
Damn.
Yeah. Sorry, man. I just, that kind of,
Wow.
woo. Anyway.
Wow, that generosity is throwing
Right.
me off for a second. But okay, so what I
awesome.
what I will say is, because it is offensive, isn't going to stop me from talking about things that the self-titled prophet Muhammad did when he was alive, specifically 2 children, and the various heinous ideology and actions that this theocratic warlord took in conquering large parts of the world, I don't find acceptable. And the fact that that's something that's offensive to more than 1 billion people on earth, for me to say that the Prophet Muhammad raped children isn't going to stop me from saying, no, actually, the Prophet Muhammad raped children. I wouldn't bring it up as much if people were like, yeah, that's fine, because it wouldn't be a point of disagreement about whether or not it's okay. It's not okay, right? Like the fact that someone is going to go, oh my gosh, this book is sacred. How dare you touch it? How dare you accidentally rip a page? Oh my gosh, is the only reason that anyone would do anything violent to a Bible as a message. Because what matters is human beings, not the corpse of trees.
And if it shakes people up, if it makes them reevaluate their faith when nothing else works, then do it. I mean, it takes all kinds. It takes every approach because everybody is different.
Yeah.
And what may affect or impact or encourage one person to examine their beliefs in a more critical way, it can be completely different from one person to the next, which is why, people say, oh, Talk Heathen and the Atheist Experience, this one. No, we're different shows, and we're different because people like different things. We reach out to different people, and we want to be able to meet you where you're at, and that's why it's important.
And different approaches are effective.
Exactly.
And when in a few weeks No Illusions is visiting, you should prompt him to see if he still remembers the story that he told once on his podcast, where they went to, I forget, it was a live show or something, and he was pointing out to a believer who was black that, no, the Bible explicitly sanctions slavery and gives the instructions for it, and the believer was saying, no, it doesn't. And he started quoting Bible verses at him and was... in the usual style in which Noah addresses things that he finds heinous.
Confrontive, angry, and unapologetic.
Yep. There's a reason that the show is Scathing Atheist, because he is scathing by default. And
I adore him, and he's still coming on Talk Heathen. Deal with it.
He's still coming, but later that person contacted him and went, yeah, it does say that. This book is bullshit. Yeah. It's like sometimes that's what it takes to get someone to actually look at it.
Jamie, I was corrected. There wasn't $100. It was 100 Swedish kroner, which is about $11. Which is fine.
It's still a Jew.
It is cool. I didn't realize that. We had Wellington Smith donate 10.
Frank
shit,
Dizzle donated $101.
$100.
Yeah, it's a donation battle royale. It's like, I hear 101. Do I hear 102? 102. Anyone? I can't talk that fast. I've tried, but I can't talk that fast.
No, he just talks that much. Love you, buddy.
It just made a comment. He said, I don't think David is clear what side bears the burden of proof. Well, I think it depends. It depends on who's making the claim.
Agree.
People in chat are making the claim that God does not exist. They're making that claim.
You know what? And that is a great conversation to have with them. I would not, though, have that conversation on their behalf, because the exact same thing that we do with religious callers when they call in, we meet them where they're at.
Yeah, what do you believe?
Because otherwise we're talking past each other. David,
So-
it has you as a religious person.
Well, he said he believes.
I'm sorry,
He's on the fence.
Yeah, I that's right. I'm sorry.
We're kind of coming up.
Oh my gosh, we're way over time.
Yeah, we're over time.
But first,
David.
Yes, this was an awesome call.
Do you promise to call back, please?
Yeah, I'd love to call back.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
And thank you for, instead of saying, screw these guys, you actually reached out, because that's how we have good discussions.
And you
we
reached
appreciate
out
it.
because we ripped up Bibles and you wanted to talk about how you didn't, and you still were like, you know what, this is a conversation I think I can have with these guys, which means we're sending the right message about how open we are to conversation. So thank you for calling, David.
And thank you for your respect.
Oh, thank you, man. You're getting a round of applause from the live studio audience.
I respect you.
So really
Much more
quickly,
than this
Leslie, Demi, and Robert, stay on the line. Somebody dropped out, and it's probably because they thought that we're not going to get to you. We're going to get to you. We're going to talk to you. So do not go anywhere. David, you have a happy new year. Thank you so much for calling in.
You too. Thank you so much. Bye, y'all.
Stay on the line. Good call.